Morning, folks. How we doing? Another day, another eucalypt for you. This is one of my favourite ones overall. My favourite ones in total. These are beautiful, big, tall trees. And I'm sort of moving into my favourite part of the world. I'm just north of Mittagong. And this is where I know these guys kick in. There's just a whole copse of them over here. They get quite tall. And we're on clay soil. We're on sort of a shale-based soil here, just north of Mittagong. When you look at the bark, it's a little bit pepperminty. When I first looked at these trees, I've been here before, I thought these were peppermints to start with, but it's actually a box. It is a box. It's got sort of fibrous, linear, sort of stringy strips, but they're shortly fibrous. And it's very much like a peppermint here, but they got more of a box bark, more of a box between, say, Mollicana and I would say moving towards a peppermint, but this one does anyway, but we'll look at some other ones. And then one of the cool features is you start picking leaves up off the ground. And one of the awesome features for this guy is, I'll try and capture this, got leaves everywhere. Let's do one at a time. They've got these sort of stepped in margins. See how the margins do a little bit of a sort of step on the edges. And not too many other eucalypts will do this. Sometimes it's more pronounced in some leaves than others, just that sort of wavy, and then you're getting these sort of steps as you go down the margin, these really shallow steps. I'll pick up some other leaves. You can see it there. Sort of uneven steps, but they step in. And that's typical Eucalyptus quadrangulata. This gets called the white-topped box. Can get called the coast grey box, but there's another tree that gets called that, or coast box. Just going to show it again. This one's got it a bit more pronounced. Just those really uneven margins. And that's what I always look for with quadrangulata if I'm confused. They're beautiful big trees in the Southern Highlands, and they do grow on the south coast as well. And I forget their distribution, but they do go further north too. They might even get up to the northern tablelands. I just can't recall if they go that far, but in the Southern Highlands, my favourite stomping ground, just south of Sydney, they get massive. And the biggest ones I've seen around these parts are they're getting up to 50, 60 metres. They're a beautiful big tree. And they are a tree that can throw me initially if I'm not expecting it. I can sort of wrestle a bit with their identification, but once I see those leaves on the ground, normally the ID is pretty straightforward from there. Just some more footage here, folks, as I battle the traffic. Sort of a minor busy road, this one. Here's another one here on the side of the road. They do tend to go sort of straight up. And they have a narrow foliage. They've got a narrow, long foliage, as you saw with the leaves I showed. And this one's got more of a box bark. I think that's what I got thrown by with that first tree across the road there. When I first saw it, it just had more of a sort of peppermint bark, but this is very sort of boxy. We've had a lot of rain last night, so it's all a bit wet, but yeah, a nice boxy bark. And I guess unlike Moyucana, the bark goes up for a fair way. It goes right up to the upper branches. So it doesn't sort of stop halfway up, it sort of keeps going up to the top. But the very upper branches are bare, and the overall foliage is very long and narrow. So that's another feature for quadrangulata. I'll just show you another concrete feature about it. If you just bear with me, I've got to walk along, not too far. You can take in some nice scenery. There's some really tall ones on this property here. And there's other trees like Eucalyptus ID, monkey gum, and you'll still get trees like Eucalyptus piperita as well in this part of the world. There's plenty of Sydney peppermint around as well. That one through there is a beautiful example. I don't know if you can see that. It's this big, tall, long tree there. That's a beauty. Just that one in the centre of the phone there. That's a beautiful tall quadrangulata. That one is, I'd say that's just hit 30 metres or around 30 metres. It's a beautiful tree. But here's a juvenile plant. I really want to show you this, if I can do justice to it. Here's the juveniles. And I think I remember when you snap them, they're very stringy and they're sort of hard to get off sometimes. But it's called quadrangulata because the juvenile growth has a really square ridge stem. And hopefully you can pick that up there. We're going to turn it. Yeah, there we go. It has these real, it's got a real angular cross section. It's got these raised ridges on the corners and they're square. They're nice and square. I'm doing that justice there. It's a totally square stem, just like something like lantana almost, or verbena. And you can see the leaves, the juvenile leaves are well and truly opposite. They're strongly discolorous and they're opposite. Just got these really strong opposite leaves, and even this sapling's well over 1 metre tall, and it's holding its opposite leaves. They're a little bit sessile, well they are sessile. There's no little bit about it. They're well and truly sessile, strongly discolorous. So I've got square stems right up to the top here. They're a very funny textured leaf. They're sort of, I wouldn't say rubbery, but they've sort of got a sort of noticeable texture to them. They're a bit sort of plasticky, or yeah, maybe sort of rubbery. They've got a bit of an artificial feel. But if you think you've got quadrangulata, look around for any saplings and you get these nice square stems. And quadrangle, that's what the name is for. And if you see the juvenile growth on the trees, it'll be the same. So the coppicing juvenile growth will be exactly the same. It's nice now, the sun's coming out. And then again, I'm just picking these leaves up off the side of the road. And again, you're getting that that nice sort of curvy stepped margin there when you get a nice intact one. I can, as I get onto this site in a bit, I'll try and find some fruit and buds. But it took me a while to see the fruits and buds of this tree, because I just identified on its leaves. One of those eucalypts you can identify on the leaves. And these juvenile saplings. The juvenile leaves are very different and they don't really have that stepped margin. Beautiful, beautiful trees in the Southern Highlands. I just want to look at that one again because it's so beautiful. Just that one through there. can just see it goes straight up. Nice erect branches. And that's becoming a titan, that one. Over 30 metres, I would think. Alrighty. Just a bit more value adding on this property for this one, quadrangulata. Trying to find fruits and buds, but I can't get a single one. So it might just be the wrong time of year. Here's some branches on the ground, but there's no sign of buds or fruits anywhere. It is a mowed area, so they're probably all getting carved up. But just some overall, again, the narrow canopy, really tall, straight up, robust tree. And just in terms of the canopy, there's no hint of blue really, it's really green. It's a nice clear day here now. There's not really any hint of blue. As I look at them in the sun, yeah, they might just be slightly discolorous to concolorous. Yeah, slightly discolorous perhaps, but it's only slightly if it is. The juvenile leaves were very discolorous, and I reckon, yeah, this adult foliage in my hand, it might just be discolorous to concolorous, I'd say. But they're very green when you look at them in the sun. Narrow, weeping, some beautiful tall specimens here. And if you do get the buds and fruit, they're in 7s. There's a bit more there, but there's just no sign of buds and fruit on it. They're in 7s, barrel shaped to sort of conical. When I look at them, they remind me a little bit of something like Eucalyptus botryoides, something like that, but slightly different shape. I'm just pretty much not finding any on the ground here. You'd think there would be some, but they're probably going to be old and degraded anyway. But like I said, it's a euc that I just tend to look at the leaves, the juveniles around, and those adult leaves with that really cool margin. There's a really pronounced one there. That one's unreal. That's what I really look for in quadrangulata. And I don't think you find too many other eucs that do that. They just tend to have an entire margin.